Hi, I'm Michael Joy. Welcome to another episode of Collage Talk, where I dive into some of my digital collages that I've made over the years, and we thought it'd be fun to talk about a few of them. Rapid fire. Aida Falls. This collage with this beautiful tiger, white tiger, in this setting of this rundown opera. Aida, of course, is a play on opera. Those of you in the opera field know what Aida means. And here I have this trespassing of what was supposed to be beautiful when it was built, a magnificent honoring, turned into a wasteland. And yet we have the tiger here who still looks regal and majestic. And I feel like it's what we do to wild animals is we take their wild, we think it's more beautiful, but then we leave what was beautiful to run down and we abandon it and expect the animals to be regal in the trash regardless. Aida Falls. It's a conflict of beauty and decomposition. Walkabout. This is actually one of my favorite collages. It has such an endearing charm to it. These animals that have these, you can see these little personalities in their excitement. And of course, none of the animals would actually live together, but it reminds me of like a child's nursery taking a vacation to Washington and discovering all these things that they'd never seen before. Walkabout to me is about a charming adventure. Any of you who are old enough to remember the books about Curious George, it's that type of thing. Animals on adventure. I don't know, I project myself into this. I remember being a kid when I look at this. If I had had a nursery at home, this is the picture that I would hang in that nursery. Capone's Foyer. I thought this was kind of homage to a gangster's life that has to be part underground and a part above ground. And the underground part is dangerous and will eat you alive, and yet it's housed within the beauty that they can make underground. It's like the beauty that a criminal can live in, and yet they have to be underground and hidden from other people. Capone's Foyer. West Wing. I grew up in the West, Arizona to be specific, and so Native American Indians and their culture were all around us. We used to rock hunt and all sorts of things. So Indians are always on my mind. And then when I came here to Chicago and I saw these isolated extractions of Native American culture, I thought, you know, here I am looking in on these trappings of a West Wing, meaning directional. And so I brought this Indian outside of the image here. And to me, it's a play on what is being honored on the picture versus what is actually in the environment. It's just a mix-up of what's real and what's not, what's lost and what's forgotten. Wishing Well. When I found this picture, it was just this very simple image of a hole in the ground, and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, a hole in the ground, you could fall in and hurt yourself, and it just seemed like it was there for no reason. And I gave myself the personal challenge of how can I bring this sort of prison-esque environment into something beautiful. So I called this Wishing Well, and I made it to be the birthing ground of butterflies. Wishing Well. Warren. This is a wordplay on warden in a prison, and if you look down, there's a, you know when somebody said there's light at the end of the tunnel? Well, there's a white rabbit at the end of the title. You'd have to zoom in on this a little bit there, but it's a play on Warren and warden and prisons and freedom and the, you know, like in the Matrix, you know, down the rabbit hole, as they say. In this instance, it's escaping through the rabbit hole. Warren. Sixth Sense. This is a peculiar image, but I love the majesty of this lion. It reminded me of Narnia and the stories from Narnia. And I put this boy here, this blind boy with his glasses, and instead of a seeing eye dog, he's got this seeing eye lion. But really, in my mind, the lion only exists in this child's mind, that he is extremely powerful even without his sight, because he has this cosmic guidance, this magical guidance that will lead him through his life. And that is his sixth sense. Papa Bear. Would go through these images and I would see all these girls of the time wearing these crazy hats. And I thought, you know, who comes up with this stuff in the day of these hat designs? And the furry hat that she was wearing reminded me so much of this oversized animal. And I thought, she's a young girl and this hat was offering protection to her. So this is a play on Papa Bear and being protected by what you're wearing. Mr. Hopes, H-O-P-P-E-S. In German, Hopelhasi is rabbit. And so I always had this thing for white rabbits. I don't know why, but they're just fascinating little things. And I thought that this was this example of a very talented painter painting his own portrait But in this sense, it's a bit of a biography. Maybe he sees himself where he has to paint other people's portraits all day long, straight and narrow, and yet when he gets to paint his own, he's a little bit of a trickster, a little bit of a rabbit out of a hat. Mr. Hopes. Flightless. I love these images of these early airplanes, and although this is just a glider, just the awkwardness of taking flight for the first time in the early parts of aeronautics reminded me of the Ostriches. And here it is the Ostriches are flightless, and they're chasing this guy who's flying, but he's not supposed to be flying, and he's about to crash, but they're there to watch. The Ostriches are the spectators of flight. Black Panther. This is a pretty loaded image depending on how far you want to get into it. It reminded me of the movie Driving Miss Daisy, where this old rich white woman had a black chauffeur. Those of you who know the story, but focusing on those two key components is you have this rich old white lady, and then you have a Black Panther, of course from the Black Panther movement, pushing her in the wheelchair, and yet this panther could like take her out in a moment, but somehow they have this kind of uneasy alliance, and I thought that was fascinating. Black Panther. Thanks again for watching this episode of Collage Talk. You can see a lot more of these images on our website, michaeljoyart.com. And remember, for the social media, it really helps us if you like and subscribe and share this with some other young artists in training. That would be great. Thank you so much.